अगर कहीं पानी नहीं होता तो लोग सड़क पे निकलते हैं तो उनको भी एसएचओ जाता है, कहता है अंदर जाओ नहीं तो पीएसए लगा लो। हर चीज के लिए पीएसए, हर चीज के लिए यूएपीए। ये जो दहशत का माहौल आपने बनाया, आपने दुनिया को बोला कश्मीर में सब ठीक हो गया, मगर आप देखिए कश्मीर का मुसीबत जो हमारी थी वो परसों रेड फोर्ट लाल किले के सामने बोल पड़ी। आपने वादा किया था कि आप जम्मू कश्मीर को सेफ बनाओगे, मगर आपने यहाँ की सेफ्टी तो दूर की बात है, आपने तो दिल्ली को भी अनसेफ कर दिया अपनी पॉलिसी से। आपको सोचना पड़ेगा, मुझे नहीं मालूम दिल्ली में ऐसे कितने लोग हैं, इस सरकार में ऐसे कितने लोग हैं जो संजीदगी से नेशनलिस्ट हैं। मुझे याद है मुफ्ती साहब ने एक बार मुझे कहा था, जब हम इनके साथ सरकार बनाने वाले थे और मैं थोड़ा सा तजब्जुब में थी और मैं रिलक्टेंट थी कि हम नहीं करेंगे ऐसा। उन्होंने मुझे कहा, वक्त में मालूम नहीं है, वाजपेयी जी ने जम्मू कश्मीर के लिए एक रास्ता बना दिया है, जम्मू कश्मीर को खून खराबे से बाहर निकालने के लिए। ये बीजेपी वाले मुझे लगता है ये शायद नेशनलिस्ट हैं, इनको मुल्क का दर्द है क्योंकि उन्होंने वाजपेयी जी का दर्द देखा था। तो आज मैं उसी बीजेपी से कहना चाहती हूँ, अगर आप में से किसी लीडर के दिल में दर्द है इस मुल्क का, क्योंकि खाली जो जम्मू कश्मीर में नौजवान पढ़ा लिखा डॉक्टर अपने ऊपर आरडीएक्स बांध के अपनी जान उड़ाएगा, उसके साथ कई लोगों को उड़ाएगा, तो मुल्क में तो कोई सेफ्टी नहीं है। आप तो सिर्फ हिंदू मुस्लिम करते रहोगे, आपको बेशक वोट मिलेगा।
Namaste. I wanted to start today's monologue by playing this clip that I came across courtesy ANI. This was actually Mehbooba Mufti. She's been part of the government, now the opposition. She's from the PDP. This was shared on the social media handle of PDP, and and the ANI shared it today at around 8:47 a.m. in the morning, India time. And I was peculiarly fascinated by this clip. And anyways, I was going to do today's monologue, and the title of the monologue today is Political Hinduism versus Political Islam. And I wanted to address this very sensitive issue. So, and what I want to do today in today's monologue is not give you a ground reality report on what happened in the Red Fort. So, for those who don't know, this is inspired by this monologue is basically the what has happened post the Red Fort blast. Now, from what we have been able to gather through media reports, is the summary of that is that as you must have heard, that there were a series of arrests being made by the cops and other security agencies in combination, where in different parts of the country, including the Jammu and Kashmir police. And in that, they had arrested different characters, most of them doctors. And unfortunately, in the series of arrests where we had found loads of RDX, ricin, and many other dangerous and harmful chemicals and other ingredients that are needed for bomb making and water contamination and many other things that could have probably taken hundreds and thousands of lives in India. And from whatever we have been able to gather from the media reports and the government of India communication, is that this has been planned for 2+ years, and their intention was to attack India at different parts at different times. And it would have led to some serious issues. The government also nabbed this, but unfortunately what happened was one of the two people who the government had nabbed, and I'm not taking any of their names for a simple reason: they were all Islamic terrorists. That's all I'll say. They were Muslims. If you want me to say that, I'll say that. But why I'm not taking their names is because I've always believed that when you take the names of terrorists, they get what they wanted. They get their moment of glory. They get their moment by showing their picture and stuff like that. I don't want to do that. And in fact, there is very well established norms behind that. I know you can say, the media had their photos all over the place. What are you going to achieve? But I don't want to do that. I still believe we should not share the names and faces of terrorists, because you actually give them their day of glory. Because a suicide bomber, like the Fidain kind of attack, right, where the Fidain blows himself or herself up and in the process kills others, wants their face on the posters, wants their face put all over the world. Because once their name is all over the world, the message goes, and they believe in the multiplier effect. And if the social science research is correct, what happens is when you don't share their faces or names and you don't give them their day in glory, they kind of don't get what you wanted them to achieve. So in this case, while the ones who got arrested, their photos and faces being shown is kind of good because we caught those pieces of human shit. The other one who died, I don't think the media should have shown his face, but unfortunately we did. And it is what it is, but I'm not going to share it. And these people, when one of the ones who got caught, right, I think the other 5 who got caught, I think there are more arrests that are being made as we speak right now. So the final number of the amount of people that the government of India is going to catch is kind of all over the space. And if you're wondering why my eyes are itchy and I'm wheezing a little, is because I have a bad case of allergy since I've landed back in India, and I'm still recovering. But I mean that's why unfortunately I had to cancel the member session yesterday. I just couldn't speak. So unfortunately I was not in a position to speak yesterday, so I had to cancel. So apologies to all the members of the Speak With Me and the Seekers tier. I will make up for it coming weeks में, but I just couldn't speak yesterday night, so I had to just take a break. Today I'm feeling a little better, so I was like, चलो आज अभी एक monologue कर देता हूँ. So heading back to the point, so one of the people or two, I think, who got arrested, and when the cops started interrogating them, they started speaking. And when they started speaking, it was known that there was one more gentleman, and I think that gentleman was contacted by his handlers, and his handlers tipped him off, and then that gentleman was on the run because he panicked. And in his state of panic, he blew himself and his car up. In fact, it was like the government reports show that the bomb he used was not made professionally. It was in a hurry. He was just running around because there were the crater size and the shrapnel available, or the unavailability of the shrapnel, all of that. But having said that, I think more than 10 people, I think I'm not sure about the media reports whether the loss of lives is 13 or 14, but more than 10 people definitely have lost their lives. And it includes people of different religions and ethnicities and castes. And that is where we are as of now. The case has been handed over to the National Investigating Agency, NIA, and the NIA is doing its job. And obviously we'll have more and more arrests in the coming days because the suspects are far more. But now that we have the facts of the case all done, I want to circle back to the title of today's monologue, which is Political Islam versus Political Hinduism. And it's a very serious problem. And let me give you a few baseline axioms that I assume. In case you're wondering where this monologue is going, I want to categorically state it that my views that I have shared through different monologues in the past, whether it was the Rajya versus Rashtra debate, that remains intact. All those thoughts are still my thoughts and I own up to them. And why we need more secularism is also something that I own up to. And I do believe the eventual solution for India's mess is more secularism, and more secularism of the real form, not of the garbage form that we have in India, where in the name of secularism we actually have religious appeasement. The state has to distance itself from all religious or non-religious groups. While having said that, I do understand the spillover of the natural cultural amalgam of the Indian identity is going to be there on the Indian constitutional system, which is why you will have Satyameva Jayate all over the walls of the parliament or the Supreme Court and all stuff like that. Where I often use the "In God We Trust" example of the United States of America, where the God is clearly a Christian God. It is not Krishna. So all those things are still relevant. So I'm just, but having baseline has been created. Now let's talk about this political Islam versus political Hinduism. Now the first question people will be saying, like, why do you want to make it political Islam versus political Hinduism? Why is it not just Islam versus Hinduism? Because it isn't. This the weaponization of religion only happens when it becomes a religious, when it becomes a political tool. Now, it can become a political tool under a monarchy. It can become a political tool under a democracy also. Like in the case of Pakistan, Islam is a political tool. It's just that it's an Islamic republic. I mean, republic, whatever bollocks. And the Pakistanis use it. And political Hinduism, from what we understand through Indian history, is a pure, unadulterated response to political Islam. Hindutva was a solution to a three-pronged problem of India. I've said that before, I'll say it again. Hindutva was a response to radical Islamism, Indian internal casteism, and the Western universal Christian thought. That so at its fundamental core, Hindutva realized the fragmentation of Hindu society, and political Hinduism, which is what Hindutva is, political Hinduism in my view, at least. If you disagree that Hinduism is sorry, I need a water break. I apologize, it helps my throat because it pains if I speak a lot. So political Hinduism per se is Hindutva, and it is a offensive and defensive response to political Islam, which I believe, I think political Islam is India's biggest threat. India's biggest threat currently, because if you would have asked me 2 years ago what is India's biggest threat, I would have said Naxalism. That was India's biggest threat. But the government of India has truly dealt with the Naxalism threat. For those who don't believe it, you can check the Red Corridor in India. The Red Corridor is pretty much done and dusted. I think in the next 3 years, the Red Corridor will disappear in India. And that's why I don't believe Naxalism is the number one threat of India anymore. I believe now the number one threat of India is radical Islamism, where a certain very hard line literalist interpretation of Islam is used by Islamists who are trying to impose their way of life and their hatred on the rest of the population. And that the rest of the population is not just Hindu. The Hindu obviously being, or the non-Muslim being the prime target first. So if they want to kill someone, they would definitely kill the non-Muslim first. But it doesn't mean they're going to spare the Muslim. And the classic example of that is that even in the Red Fort blast, the attacker didn't care about who was around him, because the attacker cannot make sure which religious identity is around him. He's not going to do an identity check. Hey, tu bata, tu bata, tu bata. He just blows himself up. So he could blow himself up in any area. And radical Islamism is definitely not just about killing non-Muslims, because radical Islamism is killing people in Pakistan and Afghanistan too. Like, there was a blast in Islamabad too. No Hindus there. So you have to understand. And then I see the super chats. Whosoever will ask the questions in the super chat, we'll deal with them in the latter half once I'm done speaking. So radical Islam, in my view now, and is the number one threat of India. And we have to own up to this as a responsible society. And if we, the rational, open-minded Indians, don't accept it, we are going to create a problem, because it will cede the space to the bigots on the non-Muslim side. I'm saying this with as much as seriousness as I can. My problem is that if we don't talk about it, we being people who are plural, open-minded, who do not have animosity or hatred towards majority of Muslims, we just don't like radical Islam, and we don't want radical Islam to be imposed on us. At the same time, we don't want Muslims to not practice their religion as long as it's in consonance, it's compatible with modern democratic values. So no nikah halala, no triple talaq. I'm sorry, no, no, no. You got to modernize, but beyond that, you believe in your uga buga. I don't care. Hindus believe in their uga buga, Christians believe in their uga buga, Sikhs believe in their uga buga, woke people believe in their new age woke uga buga. Everybody believes in their own uga buga. I don't care, but as long as it's compatible with modernity, and we're good. That's my answer. So radical Islam is an enemy of every Indian. And now we have to start treating it as the number one threat of India. Get this out of your head that left wing terrorism is the biggest threat to India anymore. No, it was. I was the person who used to say it himself. So अगर आप मेरी कोई पुरानी क्लिप निकालोगे भाई, मैं कैविएट क्या दे रहा हूं कि हमने उसको डिफीट कर दिया. We defeated left wing terrorism. We, I think, have not been able to sufficiently tackle radical Islamism in its entirety, is because this country refuses to accept the only solution to radical Islamism. The solution to radical Islamism is political Hinduism. And that's the essence of today's monologue. India's failure to tackle radical Islamism stems from the fact that India has failed to own up to the principles of Hindutva in its practice, in terms of its life and its constitutional framework. Unfortunately, that's the reality. No, your Western Enlightenment values are not going to solve this problem. Human beings are human beings. They live where they live. Indians in India are going to find Indian solutions to Indian problems. Indians in India will not find solutions alien to them. It doesn't mean secularism cannot be applied. It doesn't mean certain liberal ideas cannot be applied. But if you cut, copy, paste them and impose them on a populace that does not even understand it, you're not going to solve anything. You have to take a bit of that, a bit of this, but unfortunately, and this is my way of reaching out to the sensible left of India. If you don't talk about radical Islamism now, you, sir, are doing the gravest disservice to your own cause, because you are worried that if I talk about radical Islamism, I somehow give credence to the argument of the bigoted Hindu on the far right that hates all Muslims. No, actually, you give the bigoted Hindu on the far right who hates all Muslims even more space when you don't talk about radical Islam, because you radicalize him even more. If you talk about this, you make sure that the Hindu that's over here somewhere from the center to here, from here to here, is where most Hindus are. The kooky ones are here, and they're still a tiny one. But every time you ignore radical Islamism, many from this range go here. Many are going here. And you, sir, are the reason, because you refuse to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, this person says, Dekha, these people are denying. We told you. There is no coming back from this. You cannot defeat these people. And these people are like, well, a bomb just blew up. They don't even take the name of the person involved. Hang on. This person over here is taking the name. This person over here won't even name it. It's like Voldemort. I'm going with this person. We, the people who are in this range, need to fight both this one and this one. which is why we should be talking about radical Islamism. When we talk about it, both the left and right, the centrists here and there, we can then take the discourse in our hands. And then we can have discussions around what are the solutions to this. And when you do talk about that, the natural solution that any rational person will come up to is now is the time for political Hinduism in India. There is no solution to this without political Hinduism. And let me tell you why. The fundamentalists of a religion is as good as the fundamentals of a religion. All religions are not the same. Let's be very clear. Every religion has different characteristics. Hinduism has its own unique problems. Islam has its own unique problems. But when these two are used in a political context, the output that political Islam produces and the output that political Hinduism produces are very different. Because in a political system, right, to carry multiple loads of people together under one big tent umbrella, you need to have an overarching ideology. Now, the left's ideology was, this postmodern group-based thing where they would carry different caste groups and Muslims together. So, like we take the example of Bihar, we had the Yadav and Muslim combined. That was the left's idea. Now, the Hindutva paradigm changed that. The Hindutva paradigm said, all who believe in the prosperity of India first, cutting across caste, cutting across religion, cutting across genders. And yes, a preference was given to the female gender. There I will agree. Hindutva has created a new balance in India. It has replaced caste with gender. Hindutva. So now gender is the new caste in Hindutva. And the old school thought of the left has always been playing around with caste and religion combinations. Hindutva said, kill caste, create a woman vote bank, and solve that. Political Hinduism is your only answer, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to control these elements. Political Hinduism will create certain avenues, certain places where we can comfortably talk about these things. And by political Hinduism, what do I mean by political Hinduism is a very natural question. I have tried to explain what is Hindutva, why I am a Hindutvavadi in previous monologues. So my humble request to all of you is that if you go through the playlist of monologues on my YouTube page, you will see a bunch of places where I have shared my views on what I mean by political Hinduism and political Islam and everything that I talk about. But today, the biggest threat we face as a society cannot be solved until and unless we do not get up and accept that political Hinduism is the only solution. Because I don't see any other solution to this problem. Because let's say, what will you get when you get political Hinduism? When you have political Hinduism, you will kill caste. And caste is another major problem of Indian society. When you have political Hinduism, you will actually have better women's rights in India. Why? Because the biggest starter would be a secular civil code. A secular civil code that actually treats women like humans. Unlike the current system we have in India, where other than, people who are considered not Muslim, Christian, Parsi and Jew are under the Hindu code bill, which is, there is nothing Hindu about the Hindu code bill. It is just a secular code bill. And I believe a more refined version of that should be applicable to everybody in India. So you will actually have better rights for women. I think eventually Hindutva is the only movement that will have free speech in India. Right now, no, Hindutva is not, but at least you can have a debate around free speech inside Hindutva circles. The problem is the left has abandoned free speech is because the left does not want to criticize Islam, which is why the left has abandoned it completely. So we need political Hinduism because we need free speech. And the biggest tool to destroy radical Islamism is through speech. Today, when a gentleman like Anand Ranganathan goes on national television and just reads verses of the Quran and criticizes it rationally, he does more damage to political Islam than anybody can. because he is using principles of freedom of expression by just reading a religious text. Honestly, as a disbeliever, I have often said this, that the greatest service religious people do is let us read their religious books. Because you know why atheists are created? They read religion. And when they read religion, they're like, ye kya bakwas hai? And when they understand ye kya bakwas hai, they become atheists. That's why. The biggest tool against political Islamism is free speech. Your only road to free speech, ladies and gentlemen, is having a government which is inspired by political Hinduism. That's your only option. That is one more reason. So I give you, we have to annihilate Jati Varna. We have to destroy the system of caste, because it is this, learn from Bihar. What was the strategy of the apologists of political Islam? They wanted to create a Yadav Muslim vote bank. Political Hinduism defeated that. How did it defeat? It made women feel secure in Bihar. So they vote overwhelmingly for the other side. Women believe in political Hinduism. Women cutting across religions believe in political Hinduism. Yes, the percentages of Muslim women voting for BJP is very low right now, but it is better than Muslim men. So clearly, the Muslim women are buying it more than the Muslim men. And we need to keep on pushing it there. We need to keep on pushing the envelope there. And for that, like I said, we destroy caste. We get the women through multiple avenues. The biggest one being a secular civil code. And the third one being, we need more free speech in India. We need more. Yes, there will be cringe, comedians who say some nasty things. We need to end our cringe fest, and we need to stop attacking those people. We can criticize them, but stop it. Other than that, stop attacking them. Let them do their bit. भाई ध्रुव राठी हगता है, कुणाल कामरा बोलता है, कौन इन्फ्लुएंस होता है जेनजी में यार? कौन होता है? कौन होता है यार? आपको, you have to start having faith in yourself too. अपने ऊपर भरोसा कब होगा? अपने ऊपर भी तो भरोसा करना सीखो मुस्टंडो. You gotta have more faith in yourself. The tragedy is that you don't even have faith in your own self. So free speech is the bedrock of this battle. And you can only get free speech in India if you have a political Hinduism system in power. It is the combination of these three, and the number 4 and very important thing, which I believe people don't understand, is having real hard power. Only people see, ironically, both the political Hindus and the political Islamists both believe in hard power. The political Islamists just believe in blowing themselves up. The political Hindus, their hard power comes from economic reforms, capitalism, slow. Yes, there will be some welfareism, like it or not. In countries like India, where the number of poor people are at the number that they are, we are going to have welfareism whether you like it or not. So yes, some of what you guys call revdi culture will exist. But like we did the GST reforms, we need more and more and more and more of that. So yes, again, political Hinduism is a better option, because we can do better economic reforms. And the biggest thing political Hinduism believes in is protecting India's national integrity and sovereignty. That's the only. Listen, this attack that happened in the Red Fort was an attack on our national integrity and sovereignty. It is, which is why I started this monologue today by Mehbooba Mufti's speech, where she was really trying to, play footsie with the extremist and try to create that separate Kashmiri identity. It's done and dusted. Kashmir is a part of India. No argument. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, every single ounce of land is Indian land. Now the discussion is not about what is part of India. The discussion is about when we get land in Pakistan. We don't want the people, but maybe land, theek hai, le lo. Land de rahe hain, le lo. Kharid lenge unse. How much of Bangladesh do we want for our Bangladeshi Hindu brethren? And then the rest can stay at the other side. Bangladeshi Hindus, atheists and Christians are welcome. आ जाओ हमारे साथ. लैंड ले लो आधा और हमको दे दो. बाकी तुम रहो उधर. बनाओ अपना. जो करना है करो. Similarly, we can, take parts of Sindh away. Keep our Hindu brethren there and रह लो तुम लोग बाकी के उधर. मैं तो सीधा बात कर रहा हूँ, क्यों नहीं? बना ले वो लोग अपना जो बनाना है. Which is why you need economic and military might. Do you think the ones who side with political Islam are going to give you economic and military might? Which is why you need more of political Hinduism. And this is the most important aspect, even more important than free speech: economic and military might. Increased defense spending, increased defense spending, and better economic policies are the road ahead. And when you have a combination of destruction of caste, more women empowerment, more freedom of expression, along with hard power, which is a combination of economic and military might, and in my opinion, it can all be achieved only under a government that is inspired by political Hinduism. And by Hinduism, I don't mean religion Hinduism, because there is no one Hinduism per se. Hinduism is so complex that you can't impose one Hinduism, which is why we need more political Hinduism, because the only way political Hinduism will express itself in the constitutional framework is through secularism. And I had explained this in detail in my monologue on secularism long time ago. बहुत बहुत समय पहले. Like, I want you guys to go through a few monologues of mine. 2 years ago, I had done a monologue on the Uniform Civil Code. That was very important. Then one more I had done was on will wokeism destroy India? That one was very important. Then one was 3 years ago, Rajya versus Rashtra. I want you to watch that. Then 3 years ago, I had said I am Hindutva. I hope you guys watch that. And the one even more, why I am a political Hindu, was also there. And then where was the last one? One was on secularism too, and that was the last one. I want you guys to watch all of those. If you can, you will. If you can watch those, because those are a culmination of my thoughts. And yeah, why we need secularism. It was 5 years ago, and I still stick to my thoughts even after that. A combination of those 5 monologues that I've said from 5 years onwards. If you go to my playlist, how about this? I will share my playlist for you so that you guys know which ones I'm talking about. I'll put them up on the screen. I think it's very helpful. It might help you a lot. You might disagree, and that's fine. We live in a free world. It's all good, but let's bring it up, and then I'll start sharing. So why we need secularism? This was 5 years ago. This is number one that I'm talking about, and I'm going to copy the link and put it up for you in the live stream also for your benefit. That is number one. Damn, I've done so many monologues. And I only started monologues again is because I started getting tons of messages. Actually, I should add this too: Hindutva is Hindu modernity. I think this was also important, because all these are kind of a culmination of a lot of things that I've said. This is why freedom matters. This one also was very important. This one is why I am a political Hindu. I know this is going to go in the audio format, so audio walo, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it. But when you hear these names, just go on my YouTube channel and you'll see them, and you can listen to them. This one was I am Hindutva. This is my biggest problem with the diaspora, where they shy away from the term Hindutva itself. And I honestly believe there is no answer if you don't own up to the word Hindutva, which is, in my view, political Hinduism. and there is nothing wrong with political Hinduism per se. So yeah, these are the ones that I was talking about, and I hope you guys check them out. These are multiple ones. So there you are. Always remember, political Hinduism with these four important angles is the only way to defeat political Islamism. And political Islamism, now that we have tackled with the left wing menace, is the um, biggest threat in the future to Indian constitutional framework. And the sooner we realize that, the better off we are. Now I'm just going to look at your super chats and get the hell out of here. क्या हो सकता है नायडू जी के हज फंड को रोकने के लिए? क्या हो सकता है नायडू जी के हज फंड को रोकने के लिए? मैं आपके प्रश्न का उत्तर कैसे दूं, क्योंकि आपने प्रश्न ऐसा आधा अधूरा पूछा है कि मैं उसका उत्तर ही नहीं दे पा रहा हूँ. Abhinav Verma, thank you very much for becoming a member. If the Western right dislikes all pagans, then they don't explain their underlying love for Japanese 65% Shinto and Greeks. It's just they dislike Hindu pagans. No, they just dislike brown people. A lot of this dislike stems from racist ideologies. बाकी मैंने है ना, मेरे को एक्चुअली हर्ष ने ये एक बहुत अच्छा लॉन्ग फॉर्म ऐसे भेजा था, एंड आई रेड इट. It was a fascinating read, and I'll put it up on the screen for you guys. हर्ष ने भेजा था मुझे, हर्ष मधुसूदन गुप्ता. हम एक दूसरे को ऐसे रीडिंग मटेरियल भेजते रहते हैं. Sharing the link in the live stream also for everyone. So this was the thing. Why pagan and atheist pagans response to a theist? इसमें ना एक एक बिट था, बहुत अच्छा था, मैं आपको पढ़ के सुनाना चाहता हूँ. कहाँ गया? Yeah, I think it was this bit. My beliefs and therefore my practice are certainly naturalistic. I leave room for the unexplained and engage in practices that might seem empty or pointless to some naturalists or atheists. But I don't take many leaps of faith intellectually. Everything is based in reason. In this way, I am a naturalistic pagan. Where do I take those leaps of faith is in the emotional sphere. By engaging in this spiritual practice, I open myself to experiencing things beyond the mundane. In many ways, it is an exercise in allowing myself to feel without judgment. My spirituality is the way of allowing my pantheism a space in my life. It's basically what this guy is saying is ki, yeah, I don't believe in, all those ooga booga claims, but I still engage in a lot of ritualism, is because it makes sense to me and I think it fulfills me. It is a very fascinating point of view. I want you guys to read this. अगर आपने नहीं पढ़ा है तो definitely पढ़िएगा. Patheos.com blogs allergic pagan. Why pagan? An atheist response. Atheist pagan's response to a theist. Love listening to your podcasts and your POVs about most of the things. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much, Sharad. I read your blog on the universal moral objective pluralism recently. It's very insightful, but I want to ask if you believe in free will. If you do, how? I'm a compatibilist. I've explained this multiple times. In fact, even on, I think, I've done it in my member sessions. I've done a long session. I think in one of those episodes on Ramayana, I had a free will discussion. So if you were a member, you would know. I am a compatibilist. So that's my answer. How do we stop problematic elements entering right wing of India? We can look at the West and see how Candace, Nick, and Tucker have captured the right wing. First of all, Yamada and Seven Witches. Kya naam hai? It's a very good question, and I'm actually very grateful to you that you've asked this question. And the only way we stop these radical elements getting any relevance in our system is then we talk about these issues and we criticize them when they are wrong. I have never shied away from criticizing the radical elements in our own right wing. I have never shied away from sharing my views. Let me be very clear. There is this, bloodlusting Hindu, and they are not Hindutva, so I refuse to call them Hindutva. There is this far right Hindu wing that, उनको लगता है कि 25 करोड़ मुसलमानों को दरिया में फेंक देना चाहिए. I am not with them. I believe the average Indian Muslim is very much in love with his country. It does not mean that I have to like Islam. I want to be very clear about these two things. You, my Muslim listener or follower, are free to follow your religion. I don't like it. At the same time, I don't have any problem that you don't like Hinduism. It's like, for me, I like certain eggs in a certain way. You like eggs in a certain way, or you don't like eggs at all. For me, religion is not that big a deal. And you should be allowed to say, I think Islam is a wrong religion in India, without being called an Islamophobe, and vice versa. You should be allowed to say Hinduism is a false religion without being called a Hinduphobe. Religions are just ideas. This special status that has been given to religion is the real problem. Again, free speech. We need more speech. The problem in India is we don't have speech. Now back to the question of, how do we see? The only way there are these far right elements in the Hindu side and the Muslim side in India, or in the left wing, far left side, is when people like, I would say people like Amit Verma, myself, and many others across the spectrum, when we have these uncomfortable conversations. When we do, you don't have to go to someone else. It's because we are chicken shit and we don't want to talk about it, is that the space is ceded to someone else. But I'm actually very happy these batshit crazy people exist, because I am going on talking about it, right? So when I'm compared to those batshit crazy people on the right and the left, I'm like, nahi, ye banda normal hai yaar, iske bare mein baat karo, wo to pagal log hai. So it actually helps you in defining the pagal also. When people like me exist and I'm not going to stop talking, and there are many others, then you can define the pagal very easily. How do we convince moderate Muslims about political Hinduism? Well, very simple. You tell the moderate Muslim that if you want freedom to practice your religion in compliance with modernity, or political Hinduism is the only way forward. I think in moderate Muslims, the first people you reach out to is the Muslim woman. That, don't you want them equality? And you convince them about equality, and they are the biggest candidates for political Hinduism, because political Hinduism is their only way out. Their way out is not through Islam. Their way out is through political Hinduism. They want to practice the religion in their own way. We create those avenues. So that is number one. Number two is the economic model. We convince them that political Hinduism only has the best economic model available to the country. And also national security is a very important part of it, is because without internal security, you don't have any economics. And political Hinduism is the only one that follows that combination. They might be a little jittery about the free speech, but because the free speech means that cherished religion Islam is going to be criticized, to that you say, well, you don't get everything. So I hope that answers your question, Mahendra. Will the Saudi Prince MBS help reform political Islam? He already is reforming political Islam, which is why I'm very bullish. Him and a lot of atheism that is spreading in the Muslim world, I think it's just doing it. Just look at the way atheism is spreading in the Islamist world. Like I shared the data in my previous book. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but in my previous book, I actually share copious amounts of data about how atheism is spreading in the Muslim world, and anybody who claims otherwise, especially the Hindu right wing, they're just liars. Okay, they're just liars. and atheism is like big time spreading in the Muslim world. बहुत ज़्यादा फैल रहा है. In fact, the ex-Muslim movement deserves a ton of credit for that. The ex-Muslim movement has basically, been the Achilles heel for all these extremist Islamists, and they don't know what to do about the ex-Muslim. They're like, "Sala, inka kya kare?" And they just, they've kind of given up, and they have accepted the inevitable. And even my upcoming book on free speech, I actually touch upon it, and I talk about these things from a different perspective. I say why sunlight is the best disinfectant. Like, why the more we talk about things, the more we find out about them. When you suppress thought, then people are scared to talk about it. When people are scared to talk about it, then how do you know about it? It's like that. Which is why I say, without freedom of expression, nothing can be achieved in society. So आपको चाहिए ही चाहिए. Do you think the Western right will be able to fix this Nick Fuentes kind of right if the vice president is defending Nick? I think they have lost it. No, the vice president actually criticized Nick Fuentes. क्या बात कर रहे हो? He actually called him a lunatic. Wait, what did he? अरे उसने एक इंटरव्यू में बोला था यार, निक फुएंटेस को पागल कुछ बोला था उसने. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, ये सुन लो. So I don't think you guys are entirely accurate. So I'm going to play this. आपको शेयर करके दे रहा हूँ, 1 मिनट. ये सुनो.
In your own movement, that's what I want to ask about, because one of the supremacists who was saying things like this about your family,
Yeah,
Nick Fuentes, an avowed anti-Semite,
sure.
went after your wife. He had previously dined at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump. Does this have any room in your movement, in the MAGA movement?
Of course, it doesn't have any room in the MAGA movement, and of course,
You disavow him and this.
And of course, Donald Trump has criticized this person. Look, I think the guy's a total loser. Certainly, I disavow him. But if you ask me, what I care more about, is it a person attacking me personally, or is it government policy that discriminates based on race? That's what I really worry about.
So there you go. So I don't think you had your facts right, Yamada and the Seven Witches. So he did criticize, but it came after a lot of pushback. And I also want to remind people about the same JD Vance. He had tweeted this a long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember this. Do you guys remember this? This tweet of JD Vance? Nick Fuentes has been a giant troll and, in my opinion, dishonest in his attacks against me. Don't care. Tech companies control what we are allowed to say in our own country. It has to stop. This is 2021. He said this. JD Vance has actually been very consistent on his views on Fuentes. So I don't know if you guys follow this thing. Like, yeah, he kind of threw his wife under the bus, but then he realized that was bad politics, throwing my own wife under the bus. And guess what? He self-corrected. But yeah, back to the Islamism claim and how the war is being, like, I want to share that bit from my book. If you want, you can buy my book, but it's very important. This one, this is a study. A 2016 study by the Arab Barometer found that the support of implementing Sharia law had decreased in several countries, including Egypt, Morocco, Jordan. This suggests that there may be growing acceptance for more secular values in some parts of the world. The ex-Muslim movement is also, and I go ahead and talk about many other things. And there are other surveys in Iran that I talk about, and you know how there is another Irani survey and many other things that I explain over here. This is in a section about this bit. I hope you guys read it. Yeah, I share a lot of details in this particular section about the internet. Basically, I talk about the impact of new atheism on the Muslim world in this entire section, and it's quite a detailed explanation of what new atheism has done. Again, if you've not bought my book, I can't help it. But I mean, I've answered all of these things through facts and actual statistics and actual surveys that are done by Arabs in their own countries. And I mean, what more can I do? I can only point out things that I've already done. And it's funny that, a lot of you come and ask me questions about things that I've already explained, which is kind of depressing because साला मेरी book ही पढ़ लेते थे. Like, seriously, go buy this book. This is my book. Go buy it. The link to the book is already there in the description of the podcast. If you buy the book, a lot of these questions related to religion will be answered. The book's name is Nastic, Why I'm Not an Atheist. If you go and buy it, you'll get a lot of these answers that you're asking. Okay, next super chat. What are your thoughts on cultural Marxism? It is a conspiracy or is a theory of element or truth? Look, there must be some bits that a cultural Marxist says that are right, but overall cultural Marxism is like garbage in, garbage out. But yeah, to say that it's 100% garbage is unfair, right? Usme kuch to sensible kidhar bhi hoega. So like what what exactly, I'm not able to understand your question, Neil. I'm not able to understand your question. I'm not gonna lie. Like when you say is there some element of truth, let's say अगर किसी ने cultural Marxism लिखा है 2 आंख, मैं उसको झूठ तो नहीं बोलूंगा ना. Like what do you mean by some element of truth? That's such a vague question. Like when you say how much of it makes sense, barely anything is my answer. Does some bit make sense? Yes. Is it worth it? No. I hope that answers your question. Should I read about it? Yes. All bad ideas should be studied, boss. How do you know an idea is bad until and unless you don't study it? Like I'm a firm believer कि टट्टी से टट्टी आइडिया भी पढ़ना चाहिए और समझना चाहिए. मैं तो पढ़ता हूँ, मैं तो समझता हूँ. मगर देन आई अंडरस्टैंड हर आदमी के पास इतना टाइम नहीं होता है. मेरे पास बहुत टाइम है लाइफ में. तो मैं पढ़ लेता हूँ. But yeah, it depends. It genuinely like it is irrespective of where you're from. Like anyways, chalo. I'll see for more questions. Why don't the left blaspheme Islam in India? Is it punching down in a majoritarian Hinduist nation? Yeah, that's a bullshit idea that people like Kunal Kamra give. But what punching down? It's all bullshit. Again, I addressed this in my talk with Akash Singh on his channel. I think जब मैं आकाश के इस पे गया था तब मैंने ये बात की थी. मतलब क्या punching down? It's all बकवास. I don't believe in punching down. Like if I'm in Kashmir and I'm cracking a joke on Islam as a stand-up comic, am I punching down or am I punching up? Bolo. This whole punching down, punching business is bakwas. Non-members waiting for your next book. Thank you very much. So here's an announcement. I did speak with my publisher today. The publishers are going to be Blue One Ink, like the last time. And the book editing is on priority. Dekho bhai, I have made many bold proclamations in this book. And it's a very intellectual argument for free speech. But like I have criticized everyone. मैंने किसी को नहीं बख्शा है. ऐसा कोई नहीं जिसका सगा मैंने नहीं जिसको पेला है उसमें. मतलब मैंने किसी को नहीं बख्शा इस बुक में. सलीके से, तमीज से, मगर मैंने बख्शा नहीं है. एंड देखो जो होगा होगा मेरे साथ उसके बाद. I'm fed up. Honestly, at a very personal level, I'm saying this. I am fed up with the lack of freedom in India. I am someone who puts my money where my mouth is. Every time somebody says, तू है ना कनाडा में बैठ के लिख रहा है, देख भाई मैं इंडिया में हूँ, इंडिया का फ्लैग है, घर में बैठा हूँ, इंडिया के अंदर बैठा हूँ और बोल रहा हूँ. कनाडा में भी बोलता हूँ, ऐसा नहीं है. जब कनाडा में रहता हूँ उस समय भी बोलता हूँ, मगर इंडिया में आकर अंदर बैठ के भी बोलता हूँ. बुक का नाम होगा ब्लास्फेमी. द टैगलाइन ऑफ द बुक विल बी लेट मी स्पीक. सो लेट्स होपफुली आई थिंक दिसंबर एंड जनवरी तक. यार देखो, आई डोंट ब्लेम द पब्लिशर ऑल्सो. दे हैव टू वेट द बुक, एडिट इट कंप्लीटली. दे हैव टू लाइक लीगली पूरा लेना पड़ता है. आई अंडरस्टैंड वेयर दे आर कमिंग फ्रॉम. मेरे थॉट्स थोड़े अतरंगी होते हैं, तो उनको थोड़ा लीगल भी ये करना पड़ता है. आई डोंट ब्लेम देम, बट आई विश इट वुड हैपन फास्टर. Will the Western right self correct its radical problem? Yeah, I mean, look at how Ben Shapiro came out swinging against all these people. So ऐसा नहीं होता है. Why is a BJP ally pushing non-secular politics? Why can't we have a ban on religious-based policies? Because the society is not like that. There you have an answer. Which is why we need more people like you and I talking. नाम क्या है बुक का? मैंने बोल दिया था. Can you please explain to me why do the communists still have so much support even though they have a horrible economic policy? I mean, they don't have a lot of support comparatively. I don't think so. इतना भी कोई support है उनको. See, I'm trying to take either the members' comments, जो member हैं, or the super chats. So यार, या तो member बन जाओ या super chat join कर लो. दोनों में से एक चीज करो. नहीं तो it's grossly unfair on others. तो I'm trying to look for all members का comments. और अगर आप मेंबर नहीं हो तो सुपर चैट पूछो. नहीं तो बेचारे मेंबरों को मैं प्रायोरिटी दे रहा हूँ जो वो लिख रहे हैं. आई एम जस्ट लुकिंग थ्रू द लाइव चैट. क्या बैंड बजी है यार गले की. आहा, तबीयत की बैंड बजी है मेरे गले की. पर कल तो जो मेरे हाल थे, ओहो हो, मेरे मुखमंडल से शब्द नहीं निकल रहे थे. बुरे हाल थे कल. When is your next podcast with अभिजीत? पता नहीं यार, अभी कुछ सब्जेक्ट सोचेंगे फिर करेंगे मैं और अभिजीत पॉडकास्ट. So तुलसी जिंजर काढ़ा पियो. हाँ भाई, अभी हाल फिलहाल के लिए तो ये काम आ रही है. विक्स की गोली. अजीत भारती के साथ पॉडकास्ट करिए अबाउट बिहार और समथिंग. आई मिस माय नीला मोमो. ठीक है भाई, तू जा उससे बात कर ले. अजीत के साथ बिहार पे, अभी बिहार हो गया यार, अभी क्या बात करनी सोचते हैं. ब्रेड पे आयोडेक्स लगा के खा लो. इससे क्या मैन. When is हारिस भाई कमिंग बैक? बड़े दिन हो गए वैसे हारिस से बात करके. उससे व्हाट्सएप पे बात करता हूँ मैं, मगर पॉडकास्ट पे बात नहीं हुई. बड़े दिन हो गए ऑनेस्टली, बहुत दिन हो गए उससे बात करके. चलो लाते हैं उसको किसी दिन. पता नहीं आजकल क्या कर रहा है, मैं तो उसका कंटेंट भी नहीं देख पा रहा इतना आजकल. Why did Amit Verma do a podcast with Pratik and Zubair? Why not? He should talk to. I mean, don't you think he must have faced the same question when he did a podcast with me? It's okay. I think you should talk to everyone. I think Amit did the right thing by talking to them. Would I talk to Zubair? No. If you are thinking what my answer to that is. No. Shivang Sagar, thank you for becoming a member. देखो भाई, is giving गाली to गंभीर punching down. वेडनेसडे के लिए रुको, मैं और आदित्य पॉडकास्ट कर रहे हैं. वी आर गोइंग टू एनालाइज द फर्स्ट टेस्ट फियास्को एंड वी विल डू अ प्रॉपर एशेस प्रीव्यू. Okay, tell me this, how many of you are actually going to watch the Ashes, like in the live stream? Can you tell me how many of you are going to watch the Ashes? How about this, let me do a freaking poll. How many of you will watch the Ashes? How many will watch the Ashes? Let's see, देखते हैं आप में से कितने लोग Ashes देखते हो. I want to know. गंभीर ने सबको ये हालत खराब कर दी है. बुक recommendations please, if you read any books recently. Actually मैंने एक ऑडियो बुक सुनी. रुको, मैं मेरा ऑडिबल खोलता हूँ, आपको दिखा भी देता हूँ आजकल मेरा क्या चालू है. मेरी विश लिस्ट दिखा देता हूँ आपको. एक मिनट, मेरे को थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा लॉग इन करने को, सो थोड़ा समय देना. दिखा देंगे आपको हम क्या देख रहे हैं. आजकल मैं ऑडिबल पे सुन रहा हूँ. सो ये रिसेंटली मैंने एक बुक खत्म की, बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग थी. हाँ, ये वाली कहाँ गई यार. द नेक्स्ट क्रिसेंडम, द कमिंग ऑफ ग्लोबल क्रिश्चियनिटी, फिलिप जेंकिंस. ये बुक बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है, बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग थी. It talks about the expansion of Christianity in the global south, in Africa, Asia and Latin America. सुन मजा आया ये बुक सुन के. बाकी तो मैंने ये सुनी थी, गोल्डन रोड, ये मैंने सुन ली थी. ये इस पे मत जाना क्योंकि वो फोन पे और इसका सिंकिंग नहीं होती है, इसके लिए ये वाली मैंने खत्म की थी. What went wrong with capitalism, substantial past, ये सब थी. ये अभी बाकी है, ये मैंने सुनी हुई है मगर अभी ये अनअवेलेबल है, इसके लिए मैं कर नहीं पा रहा हूँ आजकल. ये धीरे धीरे सुन रहा हूँ, इकोनॉमिक्स इन वन लेसन. ये ठीक है, मतलब कोई इतना, मतलब ठीक है, अच्छी है, मगर इट्स ओके, व्हाटएवर. और ये मेरी विश लिस्ट में क्या क्या है अभी मुझे तो याद भी नहीं है. हाँ, ये अम्बेडकर की है. ये हाँ, ये सॉन्ग ऑफ द सेल ये मेरे को सुननी है. और डॉन ऑफ एवरीथिंग सुननी है. स्टोरी ऑफ ह्यूमन लैंग्वेज, ये मैकवाटर के कोर्सेज है. ये सब मेरा प्लान है. तो मैं ऐसे सब कोर्स बड़े लेता हूँ ऑडिबल में. इसमें अच्छा लगता है, काफी सीखने को मिलता है. आई डोंट नो अभी आप लोगों को शौक है कि नहीं इन चीजों का. मुझे बड़ा शौक है, मैं कोर्सेज बड़े सुनता हूँ. लाइक आई लव कोर्सेज, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है. डिड यू वॉच UFC 322? यार पूरा नहीं देख पाया हूँ क्योंकि टाइम नहीं मिला ऑनेस्टली, बट मैंने थोड़ा बहुत देखा. What do you think of the film Barsula spoke of the Kashmir Pandit? Barsula? I think you're talking about Baramulla. Spoke of the Kashmiri Pandit issue, but as a story rather than pushing numbers. It's a very good movie. In fact, I'm in the process of talking to the creators of the movie. We're in touch. We just need to finalize the dates. लेफ्टिस्ट थॉट्स अट्रैक्ट द यंग रिबेलियस माइंड, मोस्टली गर्ल्स. लड़के कमीने होते हैं और उनके पीछे भागते हैं. दैट इज व्हाई कमीज कीप देयर सपोर्ट दैट इन कंट्रोल ओवर एकेडमिया. ठीक है भाई. ऐसा होता है कि देखो, ये भी जब आप यंग होते हो ना तो आप थोड़े आइडियलिस्टिक होते हो, तो वो वो ठीक है, इवेंचुअली आपका आइडियलिज्म उतर जाता है, एंड वो आइडियलिज्म कब उतरता है, वो बोलते हैं व्हेन लाइफ हैपेंस. व्हेन लाइफ हैपेंस सारा आइडियलिज्म है ना वो उतर जाता है. How to convince new generation about Hindutva when they only listen to people like Dhruv Rathi? ऐसा नहीं है यार. When you're with young people, you can make other recommendations. The problem is आप गंदी recommendations भी करते हो. Look, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but most of the times when people have presented my arguments to young people, they find me very reasonable. And then they start listening to me too. I have a significant left-wing listener base. ऐसा नहीं समझना कि मुझे लेफ्टीज नहीं सुनते, मुझे बहुत रेगुलरली सुनते हैं लेफ्टीज. तो ऐसा नहीं है. I just think there are very crass right wing speakers who are very popular. वो हमारे साइड के ध्रुव राठी के वर्जन है. Nick Fuentes may be racist, but his political analysis seems to be spot on. No. What is your opinion on the works of Friedrich Nietzsche? ठीक है यार, it was interesting. Like any philosopher, you agree with some bits, you disagree with some bits. अब ये नहीं बोलते ना कौन से bits बता दो, अभी इसमें बैठ के उसके इतने सारे works के अभी तो ना बताऊंगा. How people like me find books, like I don't have money or time to buy or read every book. Like we know Sapiens book is scientifically so wrong. अरे भाई ये तो मतलब you have to follow people who read books or listen to book reviews, and then out of that, like I do so many book reviews. वो कर लो. लो इसको देखो. आई एम लिसनिंग टू कुशल भाई सिंस आई वाज 20 years old. नाउ आई एम 27. उसके बाद भी ये आरसीबी फैन है ये महेंद्र. 7 साल मुझे सुनने के बाद महेंद्र आरसीबी का फैन है. सोचो उसको शर्म भी नहीं आती है ऐसी सब चीजें करके. मगर क्या करें, यही हो रहा है. यही हो रहा है. इस देश का पतन यही तो हो रहा है. आरसीबी के फैन बने हुए हैं. What do you think about the reports of the trade deal news today? India to allow soy, corn and limited dairy along with oil. I had told this. I mean, come on यार, इतना तो मुझे क्रेडिट दो. मैं तो ये बहुत पहले बोल चुका हूँ पॉडकास्ट पे, और ट्विटर पे भी मैं हिंट दे चुका था ये होने वाला है. कुछ तो हम भी बात करते हैं सरकारों में, हम भी करते हैं. हमने तो ये पहले ही बोला था, आप हमको अभी बता रहे हो यार. हमारी बासी न्यूज हमको ही दे रहे हो. सुन लेना पॉडकास्ट मेरी हर्ष के साथ, मैंने क्या बोला था. Hindu people are very fragmented, so there is no one Hindutva guy. But Dhruv has English speaking worshipping crowd. भाई यार ऐसा कुछ नहीं है यार. ध्रुव राठी से भी बड़े बड़े यूट्यूबर्स हैं हमारी साइड में, या उतने ही बड़े हैं. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है यार. वो क्या उसका इफेक्ट है यार. बीजेपी ने पूरा स्वीप करती है, इसके लिए उसको एक्सक्यूज देना पड़ता है वोट चोरी का, क्योंकि कोई उसको सुनता नहीं है. भाई इतना है तो $500,000 खर्चे करो, ध्रुव राठी के एनालिटिक्स स्टडी कर लो यार, पब्लिकली अवेलेबल होंगे. सॉरी यार, ये लेना पड़ेगा मुंह में गोली विक्स की. $20 when he started listening, $27 in age, $65 in mental age after listening to Kushal for all this years. What about Savarkar, who sought to exclude Muslims and Christians? Now see, this claim about Savarkar and him wanting to exclude Muslims and Christians is very, very interesting, because आप जब सावरकर के कोट्स जैसे दिखाना चाहते हो वैसे दिखा सकते हो. Show me the Hindu Mahasabha constitution where he excludes Muslims and Christians. Go open up Vikram Sampat's book, okay, Savarkar, and show me the bits there in the Hindu Mahasabha constitution में कहाँ लिखा है. Savarkar's individual views does not matter. The Hindu Mahasabha, if they would have had their way, they would have had the constitution. Supporting RCB is a green flag. Never give up on relationships. issue with Hindutva is that it's been given a bad name in the media and it's been misused by the left to basically point the whole religion like that. In fact, one of the things that the racists now in the West using to attack us is all the bad points given by the left. So will the left ever do any soul searching when they kept on writing those, pieces exaggerating our problems in India? When will the left wake up? आज वो सारा मटेरियल इंडियंस के अगेंस्ट यूज किया जा रहा है बाय रेसिस्ट. RCP is the best team. You just hate this. Stop this BS. देखो, एक मिनट. अभी तुमको लाइव में जवाब दूंगा. कहाँ गई मेरी टी शर्ट? एक मिनट रुको. लाइव स्ट्रीम पे पहनूंगा तुमको सालो. एक मिनट रुको. आ रहा हूं मैं वापस. ये देखो आरसीबी फैंस, ये है मेरा जवाब तुमको. मुंबई इंडियंस, ये है मेरी मुंबई इंडियंस की टी शर्ट. ऑलवेज 5 टाइम्स चैंपियन, और हमारी लड़कियां भी जीतती हैं तुमसे ज्यादा. अब बात करेंगे, इसकी तो मुझे जरूरत ही नहीं है. ये देख लो, मुंबई इंडियंस फॉर लाइफ. हमेशा याद रखना. Dismantling Hindutva is dismantling Hinduism. True. एक आईपीएल क्या जीत लिया ये आरसीबी वालों ने, संभाला नहीं रहा. ले पेलो आरसीबी वालों को पेलो, बहुत मजा आता है. आई थिंक किसी को इतना पेलने में मजा नहीं आता जितना आरसीबी वालों को पेलने में आता है. Please share Dhruv Bhati's insights, or at least tell us if most of his engagement comes from peaceful neighbors. No, he has a listener base in India. I'm not saying he doesn't. But I'm saying that it's basically his listener base. People, a lot of them might be hate listening also. Or a lot of them listen to him and still don't listen to him. So, let's take this for an example. Let's say Dhruv Bhati does a video on air travel. So a lot of people take him seriously over there. But Dhruv Bhati does a video on politics. People don't take him seriously over there. Can you share your personal journey on why you became convinced? यार भाई, कभी गलती से मेरी बुक भी पढ़ लो यार, मेरे मोनोलॉग्स भी सुन लो, सब कुछ इधर ही आके पूछोगे. जीटी भी एमआई की बी टीम है, जिस तरह से जीटी कीप्स सेलिंग प्लेयर्स टू एमआई फॉर कैश. सो एमआई वैसे वो एशेस का पोल का क्या हुआ, देखिए जरा. वाओ, so 42% will watch. 43% of you are intending to watch the Ashes. I'm really impressed, boss. Like almost half of you are interested in the Ashes. Boss, हमारी काफी अच्छी क्राउड है. फिर तुम लोग यार बड़े सोफिस्टिकेटेड क्रिकेट व्यूअर्स हो. मतलब तुम लोग सिर्फ इंडिया पे ही एंड नहीं करते हो. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm genuinely impressed. कि वाह, मतलब lot of you are interested in the Ashes. तो मिलेंगे वेडनेसडे को मैं और आदित्य के साथ प्रीव्यू पे. Back then we had bad astrologicals. Nah. If Chinnaswamy wasn't RCB's home ground, we would have had 18 trophies. Shabash. Oh, good question. What should political Hinduism do about trad-free riders? I have answered this in my monologues. Yeah, man, you should go and check my monologues, boss. You will soon hear US politicians compare Hindutva to Nazism. None of the superpowers want to see the rise of India. America is not a friend. The answer to that is you become more powerful. Roadblocks तो आएंगे, आप अपना काम करो. एक काम करो, जिन जिन ने आपकी बुक खरीदी है उनके लिए स्पेशल पॉडकास्ट कर दो. समझाने के लिए मुश्किल किताब है थोड़ी. अरे भाई, जिन जिन मेंबर्स ने बुक खरीदी है वो ये महीने के एएमए में बुक रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस मुझे भेज दें. आज ज्वाइन करके एएमए को मैं आंसर कर दूंगा. There are a lot of left-leaning people who have made really good movies like Tungbad and have skills to make good movies but keep making biased movies. Hope they are on our side. हमारी साइड को अच्छा बनाओ, उनकी भी मूवी देखो. मेरे को ये दिल्ली क्राइम सीरीज बहुत अच्छी लगी. उसमें कुछ थे बिट्स जो थोड़े बायस थे. वो बायस को मैं इग्नोर करता हूँ और मैं अच्छा सिनेमा एंजॉय करता हूँ. Your view on the BJP politician from Assam sharing an image of gobi farming, it was ridiculous. Should be condemned. उसमें क्या मतलब, it was in bad taste. It's just garbage. It's garbage in, garbage out. बकवास है वो. I don't support all that. It's bullshit. चलो जी, सारे क्वेश्चन तो हो गए आपके. मेंबर्स के भी काफी सारे ले लिए. बट वंस अगेन, बिफोर वी रैप अप, देखो भैया, दिस पॉडकास्ट ओनली रन्स because of members like Mahendra. How members like Mahendra said you so, or CVK has joined. Like, hit that membership button right now if you can. There are 2 tiers. Like, the basic tier is literally anything. Why is the Western right ignorant of the Indian right? Because the Indian right is not good at articulation and they don't give a shit about us. It's a bit of both. Powerful बनोगे सब सुनेंगे तुम्हारी. So anyways, once again, there are 2 tiers. Join any tier. You can also become a member on Patreon. But when you join this podcast and its membership, you can also now actually, I forgot, even on Twitter, bhai, Twitter वालों जो सुन रहे हो, you can also join the membership on Twitter now, X. So अगर आपको यहाँ से नहीं करना, आप X में भी member बन सकते हो. तो करोगे तो वहां पे भी आपको members only content मिलेगा. So करो join. वही चीज चलाती है इस पॉडकास्ट को. तो मेंबर बन सकते हो तो बन लो, नहीं तो वन टाइम डोनेशन देनी है तो यूपीआई आईडी है kushalmehra@ICICI. इंटरैक्ट कैनेडा ईमेल आईडी है kushalmehra81@gmail.com. कोई भी तरीके से कर लो यार, मगर करो. मेंबरशिप ज्वाइन करो तो ही ये चलेगा, नहीं तो नहीं चल सकता. आज जैसे लोगों ने मेंबरशिप ज्वाइन की है, सीवीके जैसे, या उसके पहले भी एक और बंदे ने मेंबरशिप ज्वाइन की थी, अभिनव वर्मा ने. तो आप ज्वाइन करो. छोटी सी मेंबरशिप होती है मंथली, मगर इफ अ फ्यू हंड्रेड join, it goes a long way for me to maintain my independence, travel. Because listen, when I run this podcast, I have to travel so much, give you reports from the ground, whether it's the Khalistan bit or anywhere. I actually invest all the revenue of this podcast into these kinds of things that I do. So the more members join, the more I'll be encouraged to do that, because that is what I enjoy. ये देखो, विशाख मेहता, हाउ इज योर सब्सक्राइबर बेस इंक्रीजिंग? अभी इंक्रीज हो रहा है. 69 रुपीज वाला, अरे कोई भी करना है करो यार. 69 वाले में एक्स कंटेंट मिलेगा. जो बड़ी वाली मेंबरशिप है उसमें एक्स प्लस मिलेगा कंटेंट. उसमें जो मेन मेंबरशिप है उसमें आपको मेरे साथ बात करने को भी मिलेगा महीने में एक बार. कुशल, व्हाई डिडंट यू जॉइन द जयपुर डायलॉग्स एनुअल समिट? ना उन्होंने बुलाया, ना मैं गया, ना मैं उनसे कोई बातचीत करता हूँ, ना वो मुझसे बातचीत करते हैं. हाउ इज द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ नान? चेंबूर वासी होके ट्राई किया आपने? मैं नहीं गया हूँ मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ नान, नहीं गया हूँ मैं. मेरे को किसी ने बोला था जाने को, देखूंगा, मैं जाऊंगा. चलो जी, सब हो गया. So once again, आपकी मनुस्मृति पे वीडियोस देखनी थी, मिल नहीं रही है. इट डिपेंड्स आप कौन से टियर के मेंबर हो. अगर आप स्पीक विद मी टियर के हो तो आपको मनुस्मृति के वीडियोस मिलेंगे. अगर आप सीकर्स टियर के हो तो आपको नहीं मिलेंगे. और अभी जैसे आस्क केचम ने बोला, एल्गोरिथम नीड्स टू पुश दिस चैनल फॉरवर्ड. The algorithm will only push this channel forward when you guys like this video, when you subscribe to the channel, when you comment on it. It's not rocket science. That's how it happens. So like this video right now. Subscribe to the channel. Mumbai Indians Zindabad. And if you have not bought my book Nastik, do buy it. And you can also buy Cārvāka podcast merchandise and everything. So keep checking out all the content. And once again, thank you for tuning in. And I apologize for my sadi hui awaaz as I have bad allergies, but I'll try to fix it. Take care. Bye-bye.